It's the WALT Pod, Game Week 2, prediction time. Right, I'm joined by my co-host Mark, and I guess we have to look back briefly at
Do
our
we?
Game Week 1 predictions. I did all right, actually. I got 1 direct hit, and I got 5 correct scores. How about you?
I got no correct scores or
Ah,
correct scores, but I did get 4 correct results out of 12. So yeah, solid start, a solid 33% start. So yeah, not great.
yes, I'm at 50%, so we'll have to keep track of this, won't we?
yeah, yeah. If we have to, do we have to?
Yeah, we have to. Yeah,
All
yeah,
right.
yeah.
Well, yeah,
Well,
law of averages say I do better this week.
yeah, we'll have graphics whip out a little tally for us. It'll be absolutely fine, won't it? It's all a bit of fun. It's all a bit of fun, and that's all that matters. And if it is a bit of fun, and you love the content from the We Are Luton Town podcast, just take a second, hit like on this video, and subscribe for more Championship and Luton Town content coming throughout the season. Also, a big shout out to our audio partners, Blackstar Amplification and Carry On, who keep us sounding great with fancy microphones, headphones, the whole shebang. And also a shout out to our sponsors, the Record Shop in Amersham. If you collect vinyl, go check them out. They're absolutely fantastic. So much vinyl and experts in everything to do with the music business. Right, Mark. So let's take this from the top, shall we? So let's start with Coventry City versus Oxford. I'll let you go first because it's an interesting one because we both had Coventry sort of as our locks of the week, didn't we, last week? And where do you sit on this game?
Yeah, well, I did, and that didn't turn out too well. Oxford, to be honest, were probably the most impressive team of that first week. I know that there were a few sides that got good results, but Oxford won comfortably against a pretty poor Norwich side, it has to be said, but fantastic start to them and a comfortable 2-0 win. So real credit to them for that. And Coventry never really got started in their game, very disjointed. Again, like Luton, they're slow starters. And for that reason, at some point, that forward line has got to come good. So I'm going to stick to my guns on Coventry and predict them to win 2-1. They're at home. So I think Oxford will do well. I think it'll be 1-1 for most of the game. And then I think that Sims or Haji Wright will nick the winner towards the end. But I'm going to go for a Coventry win.
Yeah, you see, I've actually predicted the exact same 2-1 there. Coventry were not impressive at all in the first game of the season. The attack just struggled to click. But I feel at home, I think they can finally click. It won't click perfectly, so it'll be a tight 2-1 win. But I feel Oxford and Des Buckingham have them really organised, and they like to mix it. If you look back at that first goal that Oxford scored, Grant Hanley was just left sprawled on the floor.
Yeah.
Oxford like to bully teams, and I feel Coventry are going to be in for a proper game now. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting one to kick off the week. Next up, we got Derby County versus Middlesbrough. I'll kick this off. I think 2-0 Middlesbrough. I think Latte Luff is going to probably bag both of them, to be honest. He impressed me towards the end of last season, and I think he's going to be a real danger man this season. And Derby County, I just don't think they have the firepower to really trouble Middlesbrough in this game. How about you?
Yeah, very similar. So I've gone for a 3-1 Borough win. I think exactly the same thing. Lath scored, didn't he, last week? And carrying on his form from the end of the season. And I think Paul Warden just shows his limitations in this league. I think he's got a 100% relegation record. I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure he has with Rotherham prior to Derby. So that first game, they looked poor against a very a very average last season, at least. Plaudits for this game, Blackburn side. Admittedly, with Smodic still there, I can't see them getting anything out of this. 3-1 Borough.
Yeah, well, were Blackburn that good, or were Derby that poor? That is the question ultimately, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. I think Derby made them look particularly good because they just allowed them in time and time again, and didn't offer that much going forwards. I know they scored 2 goals, but actually in terms of open play, they offered next to nothing.
And next up, we have Portsmouth versus our beloved Luton Town. Now, we were getting laughed at, weren't we, for predicting Luton to lose against Burnley. The money was on Luton to win from pretty much everyone who doesn't support the club. But as fans, we both put Luton to lose. Where do you sit this week?
Yeah, we did, and it's one of the few predictions I got right, annoyingly, in terms of the overall score. We both actually said that 2-1 was quite conservative, and it turned out to be as well.
Yeah.
I'm going with being an optimistic Luton fan this week. Portsmouth really, despite scoring 3 goals against a very, very good Leeds side, I think they only had an XG, I did look this up, of 0.6. And I know that's nothing to go on its own in one game, but that does suggest that that they took their chances, or half chances, well, and they obviously got penalty as well. I think we'll still leak goals. I can't see Portsmouth scoring less than a couple. The only hope is that the forward line clicks more than it did on Monday night. So for that reason, 3-2 Luton Town. I have a feeling I might be predicting that scoreline a lot this season.
Yeah, they're all going to be very high-scoring games. I've also gone for 3-2 Luton Town. After looking at that Callum Lang goal that was scored against Leeds, I can see that there's going to be a lot of space in front of Luton Town's defence, and that is the sort of space where people like to get shots off. I feel Luton Town haven't quite clicked yet, which is quite worrying, but Portsmouth have also shown they can mix it. Yes, they were very charmed against Leeds. Yes, Leeds could have been 3 or 4 up by the time they scored that penalty in the first half. But ultimately, Luton Town right now look very fragile at the back. And I think Portsmouth could mix it. They could be direct. John Mousinho is no slouch. He's going to know exactly how he can hurt Luton Town. So, same score right here. Luton Town 3, Portsmouth 2. Right, next up. This is quite a heavyweight clash, really. West Brom versus Leeds. I've gone for a 1-1 draw here. Funnily enough, I thought West Brom were going to struggle. I don't know if that game at the beginning of the season was just them making a point, or if they are actually going to be absolutely fine. But I always forget about Carlos Corberán. He knows exactly what he's doing. He knows how to get points out of games. He knows how to squeeze wins out of games. So I think he's going to get the game plan absolutely spot on for this, and he's going to hold Leeds to a 1-1 draw. What about you?
You say you've forgotten about Carlos Corberán. I forgot about Josh Maja. Who forgotten about him? He scored. he scored more goals for West Brom in one game than he did the entirety of last season. And look, we all know he can be a player. Look, I've made my thoughts on Corberán clear. I think he's the best manager in the league. Having said that, I do think Leeds are going to be hurting from that opening game, which I think 9 times out of 10 they win. I've got them winning just 2-1 against West Brom, but it's going to be tight. I wouldn't be surprised to see a 1-1 draw as well.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's one where we've sort of gone our separate ways on, and we'll see who comes up trumps next week, won't we? Right, after that, we got Bristol City versus Millwall. I've gone for a 1-1 draw here. I can't see much to really separate it. Bristol City, they always look like they have a great team, but who's that lad that's leaving them? He's on his way out. Not their
Conway.
striker, Tommy Conway. Yeah.
Conway.
So I think Conway's on his way out. He's a proper striker. I really rate him. Wherever he goes, someone's gonna get a player that knows how to find the bottom corners. He's a real finisher. He's one that I would have if we played that way. I feel Joe Taylor's a very similar player, and hopefully we see a bit of Joe Taylor this season, although it's looking very unlikely. But back on to Bristol City Millwall, I think it's going to be a 1-1, and I think Millwall are going to be just fine in defence and hold the Bristol City onslaught. But I can see this being a very one-sided 1-1. What about you?
Yeah, I think Conway's rumoured to go to Borough. I know there are a few clubs interested, though, aren't they? And if Borough do land him, that is one hell of a forward line that they'll end up with. Yeah, I think Millwall are very unlucky to concede the 3 goals they did against Watford. I mean, direct from a corner and then a deflection on a deflection and one deflection straight onto the striker's head in the 90th minute. That's all your bad luck gone for the season, I think, based on that one. I think generally defensively, we both agree they're quite good. And so snap 1-1, same reasons. I think it'll be a draw.
Yeah. Well, look, there is no reason to use up all your luck in the first game of the season. One thing we know about the Championship is there's always time for plenty of bad luck. It's just one of those things, isn't it? Right, next up, Burnley, who put Luton Town to the sword, versus Cardiff City. You can kick us off with this one.
Yeah, I mean, we've obviously had our say on Luton in the post-match phone, but it shouldn't be overlooked how good Burnley were as well. They were great, and fair play to Scott Parker. He got his tactics right in that game as well. I think with their front line as it stands, I can't see anything other than a Burnley comfortable win at home. I would say, obviously, Cardiff will play a little bit more defensively than us. It's probably not that difficult. And so it might take a while for them to break them down. So I've gone for 2-0 Burnley on this one.
Right. About the same here. I've also gone Burnley 2-0. I don't know if Koleosho is going to play. He went off with a little bit of an injury at Luton. Remember, he's been out for a long time, but Koleosho, what a player. But they've also got that threat with Odegaard down the other side. And, of course, Lyle Foster. Wow, what a player. So that's why I've gone Burnley 2, Cardiff 0. And next up, Norwich, who got beaten by Oxford on the opening weekend. Norwich against Blackburn Rovers. So I've gone for a Desmond here, gone 2-2. And honestly, we need more form to really predict this one, because with Blackburn was their result because Derby was so poor. Where are Norwich? Are they going to be flailing now that Gabriel Sara's gone and Josh Sargent's just alone by himself up front? Who knows? So I've gone for a Desmond. What about you?
Yeah, I think we're similar. I've gone for 1-1. It's impossible to predict, as you just said. I think also Norwich had Rowe decided that he pulled himself out the squad, didn't he, because of suspected interest in him, which is not great. I mean, you've got to feel a little bit for the new manager there with that situation. It's a very unknown quantity, Norwich, and they certainly didn't cover themselves in glory away to Oxford last week. And as you said, we don't really know how good Blackburn are, because they had a pretty easy go of it. So 1-1 for me.
Yeah, who knows how long Thorpe will last, or if Thorpe will even have the attributes to succeed in the Championship, because it is an incredibly difficult league. Next up, Wayne Rooney's Plymouth Argyle against Hull City. And you can kick us off here.
Well, you can probably guess that I've gone for a Hull win. I think I've been conservative and said 3-0. I'm going to say this. I think Plymouth are the Rotherham of this year. I mean, Rotherham, one of the worst teams that graced the Championship last season. Wayne Rooney is on a one-man mission to absolutely destroy every single club that he is managing. It was Yeah, I don't know whether you saw any of the game against Sheffield Wednesday, but they could have scored 10, and I'm not even exaggerating. Hull City 3-0 only because they've got a brand new team to gel.
Yeah, I feel a bit silly now because I just agree with your rationale so much. So I've gone Plymouth 1, Hull 1. Yeah, to be honest, I thought like after that performance against Sheffield Wednesday, they can't be that bad again. Although Wayne Rooney is just trying to fast track torpedoing his reputation in football completely. It's remarkable. And you come out and you say, I haven't got the players. I haven't got the players. I feel it's going to be a Michael Cooper masterclass. It's going to be his last game, I reckon.
Yeah.
Sheffield United are going to pick him up for like 2 mil, which is a bargain. That is one I would like to see Luton Town go for. Yes, I know we have a goalkeeper, but maybe push Kaminsky. That's just my thought on Michael Cooper. What a player he is. So yeah, 1-1 there. And next up, Sheffield United versus QPR. So Sheffield United, the team that are probably going to sign Michael Cooper. And I've gone for another 1-1 here. I'm not being very imaginative this week, but from what I saw of the Sheffield United game, I don't think they have that cutting edge. Yes, they have all the fancy toys, they have solidity at the back, but Preston North End still got through them, and also Sheffield United didn't really offer much going forward, and won by the virtue of a weird deflection and Woodman throwing the ball straight to Hamer. So I think Queen's Park Rangers are going to have to step up after their performance last week. So 1-1. What about you?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, similar rationale. I think Woodman got away with quite a lot of that because people are fawning over Hamer's strike.
It was a good strike.
It's a great. I know
great
it's a great goal. It's a great goal. But people did fail to mention the fact the goalkeeper just threw the ball to him. Mm-hmm. I think that maybe that should have got a little bit more airtime. Maybe it did, but I watched the game and I didn't hear much about it. I think that Sheffield United probably do have the tools on paper to win this game, particularly at home. So I'm going to go with a tight 2-1. I think again QPR obviously did well last season. Lots of expectation on them. Not really got started yet, so we'll see with that one. But I think Sheffield United just about scrape that 1-2-1.
Okay, and next up, Swansea versus Preston North End. Let's kick this off with you.
Yeah, I've gone with a very unimaginative 0-0. I went through about 5 scorelines in my head on this. I think that the departure of Ryan Lowe is going to do one of two things. I think the bookies now have them as second favourites for the drop because I mean both of us quite like Ryan Lowe, and I think that unfairly, I think that Preston fans have been a little bit sick of the football. I get it though, it's probably pretty depressing to watch every week, but he's not got the squad to do any better than 10th, and I think that he's done a decent job. Whether the players will respond to him leaving, although they haven't got a replacement yet, is another thing. I just can't make my mind up. So I just basically went with the lottery of 0-0. Really boring game, 0-0.
Yeah, I was shocked to see Ryan Lowe leaving after one game. It makes no sense whatsoever. Like, make it make sense. So I've actually gone for an interim manager bounce here. I've gone 2-1 Preston. Because who knows? Anything can happen with an interim manager. So why not? Why not?
Yeah, it's insane. Absolutely insane.
Yeah. We the Championship is known for early managerial departures, but, after one game, it's got to be some sort of record, right?
It's got to be. Well, Carlos Corberán left Huddersfield like a week before the season started, didn't he? So, but after the season started,
he had a whole season.
Yeah, of course, yeah. But this has got to be the earliest mutual consent. Whatever that. They've had a bust up. Clearly, they've had a big bust up, and then he's walked out. But yeah, There we go. It's the Championship's mental.
Yeah, well, a team that
Yeah.
hasn't got rid of their manager yet. Watford versus Stoke City. Sorry, we're trying to be neutral here. So I've gone for a Stoke away win here. I've gone 1-0, mainly because I feel like after the job that they did on Cov, I feel they could probably do it again. You know, sit back, frustrate, and go from there, really. So
Yeah.
1-0 Stoke City.
Yeah, snap, exactly the same. I mean, Watford to score those 3 goals, I've already said. Even their fans would admit they got pretty lucky with that one. When's the last time I've seen someone score direct from a corner? Of course, all I can think of is
Keith Keane.
Keith Keane against Oxford. Yeah, that's all I ever think of when people score directly from a corner, as most Luton fans would say. 1-0, snap, exactly the same. I think Stoke will nick it.
Yeah, and we bring the curtain down on this prediction video with Sunderland versus Sheffield Wednesday. 2 teams that won their opening matches. I'll kick this off. I think Sunderland 1, Sheffield Wednesday 3. It's going to be a Danny Roll masterclass.
That's pretty bold. Yeah, that's pretty bold. It's a difficult one to predict, isn't it? Again, because they both won their opening games, and Sheffield Wednesday. I'm not going to keep hammering it because I'm going to look very silly if Plymouth do get a result next week, and I do well at looking silly. But it's hard to tell when they played who they played. I've gone for 1-1.
Okay,
I
interesting.
think Sunderland at home will be strong. The Stadium of Light, as Luton fans know from that playoff semi-final, you know, when fans are up for it, as I think they will be with a new manager, and I think it's going to be tough. It'll be a tough game for Wednesday.
Okay, so who is your lock for the week?
Well, I saw them in the flesh and saw how good they were. So for me, Burnley to beat Cardiff City.
Okay, well, because I think both our locks of the week last week didn't actually win. So
I'm going with first game of the season.
Yeah. I went with last week. I went with Leeds. You went with Cov. It didn't go well. So hopefully you can put like a little curse on Burnley here. Okay, so who is my lock of the week? I think Middlesbrough, because you know I think they're gonna easily make the playoffs. They're gonna be consistent, but I think they are gonna fly under the radar. Well, as much as under the radar as they can with Michael Carrick as their manager, because everyone's going to be like, "Oh, it's Michael Carrick! Oh, Michael Carrick! He's such a wonderful player. He's such a wonderful manager. Look at what he's done." Yeah, so that's my lock of the week. Right, but we will reflect on these in our next video as well, and we'll see who gets more results correct, won't we?
Yeah, fingers crossed. We've gone quite similar this week as well, so it'll be 1 or 2 that decide it.
Yeah, it's going to be a tight one. If you enjoy Championship content and you've enjoyed this video, take a second, smash that like button. We really appreciate it and it helps out the channel. If you like it, subscribe to our channel as well. You won't be disappointed by all the Championship content we have to offer. A big shout out to our audio partners, Blackstar Amplification and Carry On, for leveling up our podcast, and also a big thank you to the Record Shop in Amersham. Everyone, have a great game week, and let's see how these results fall.